I find it very appropriate that I just sat down to film this video and I've got Mr. Winston with me. I can't tip my camera down so you guys can see him, but he's right here with me. He must know that I am about to talk about him and share his story. This is an enemy of the lie. My name is Elizabeth, and this is another video in my series on fear. And so you might be asking, well, what the heck does Mr. Winston have to do with fear? Well, I want to tell you his story, and then I want to share some videos while I do tell you his story. And I want to tell you what he has taught me about fear. And yes, a dog can be a teacher. So that's why I'm in my hearts today, because I love my dog. I love Mr. Winston, and I sure wish he could be on camera with me right now. Maybe down the road, you know, he's a new companion in my life. So but you have seen videos of him. He wanted to be a part of the chat one time. So I'll put that link up here, one of these sides anyways, and you can click on that real quick, but you're still going to get a good view of him today. He is a miniature Australian Shepherd, and he was a rescue, and he was a gift from God, quite honestly. Straight up gift from God. And so I want to share his story. Now, before I get into him, I want to share that I had lost my dog of, I believe she was 12 years old. I had lost her over a year ago to kidney disease. And I knew that God would send me another dog when the time was right. And I had in my mind that God was going to send me what I was calling a golden scruffy. So another small dog, just like my other dog, Cookie, that was golden and, you know, just had golden hair and just was all messed up. You know those dogs are real scruffy. That's what I was kind of hoping God would send me. So I waited and waited and waited for my golden scruffy, and my golden scruffy did not come. So one day, in September, my husband and I and my son, we went on vacation to Lincoln City, and you've seen some footage from that in the tsunami video, which I'll put the link up here for you to click on, because that is one of my videos about fear. And we went on vacation and came home, and I wanted a dog. It was like, that's it. I want a dog. And so we looked on the shelter website, and I found a dog named HELLda. And I thought, okay, this is my dog. So we went ahead and adopted HELLda against our better judgment. HELLda was a big dog, and I'm going to put some video in here for you to watch. So let's just start there with a little bit of video of HELLda, and then we'll come back and talk some more. So take a look at HELLda. So Ducky's a winner, huh?
Yeah.
So on the surface, HELLda seemed like a really sweet dog. Bit of a handful because I'm older and I have arthritis and some pain issues, and so managing a big dog was going to be a challenge. But my husband and I thought, let's do it. It's a rescue. She needs a home. She's got this really sweet nature about her. She's very well trained. HELLda's our dog. Well, we would take HELLda out for walks, and HELLda's one flaw was HELLda didn't like other dogs. So on our walk, we meet many, many dogs, and every time we ran into a dog, HELLda transformed into what I started calling her, HELLda. She became a dog from hell. My husband is a strong man, like physically strong man. Neither of us are, small, delicate people. When Zelda or HELLda saw another dog, we could not control her. She would lunge at the leash trying to get the other dog. And fortunately, we never found out what would happen if she actually got another dog. But it got to the point that my husband and I were dreading going out for walks. At this point, I'd completely fallen in love with Zelda, but we couldn't handle her anymore. And so I caused a big scene, but I took her back to the shelter. Just never, never, never was my intention. The whole point of rescuing a dog is to rescue them, right? So we took her back. But I had known the love of a dog again after a year of not having one, missing my precious Cookie. And so I knew that the shelter released new dogs on Fridays. So I looked at their website and I found Mr. Winston. So Mr. Winston's story is that, of course, he's a rescue. He came in with two of his brothers. And the story that we were told was that at the time in our area, we were covered or surrounded, I guess, by wildfires. Everything was on fire. And so a woman had, well, so the story goes, a woman had a dog, and she needed this other woman to take care of the dog for her. And so the woman said, of course, I'll take your dog, and, while these fires are going, and keep it safe. Well, the woman that originally owned Winston brought 3 dogs over and dumped them at this woman's house, who had so kindly volunteered to take care of these dogs during these fires. And they were a handful together. Australian Shepherds, miniature Australian Shepherds, if you know anything about them, they are high energy dogs, high energy. So she had 3 of them, unexpectedly 3 of them. And she could not get a hold of the woman who had dropped them off at her house. So ultimately, Winston and his brothers ended up in the shelter. And ultimately, Winston ended up in our home. This dog himself had been through a hell of his own. Of course, living in wildfire territory. And it turned out that the shelter figured that he probably was part of a breeding operation. The shelter thinks that he had not been cared for. It was simply used as a breeder dog. So, if that's all he's good for, there's no need to take care of him, his fur and just take care of him and love him. So Winston came into our home terrified, absolutely terrified. And I didn't know how I was going to help this poor dog. All I knew was that I loved this dog, but he stayed hidden in the corner underneath desks. Convincing him to leave from the dining room to sleep in the kitchen at night was work. I mean, this went on and on. We had an incident by our back door, which is a very small space, much like a closet, where I accidentally dropped his leash and it made a bunch of noise, and both my husband and I were there, and Winston completely lost control of his bowel and his bladder, panicked, terrified, ran to find a hiding place. I mean, that's how terrified this dog was. Winston, in his growth and coming to be a part of this family, has taught me so much about fear. He, when we dropped the leash and it made that noise in the entryway of our back door, the way that he reacted was so much more than was needed for the situation. These kinds of things began teaching me about my own fear, about what's really going on in a fearful moment. So a leash dropping to the ground is not worthy of the loss of bladder and bowel control. You know, it's not worthy of running in terror to hide. And we had many incidents like this where sounds would go off in the house, just common house sounds. And we live in an old house, so it cracks and pops and whatever. All of it was a source of fear for him. But it was teaching me that, you know, I live with these cracks and pops and, you know, whatever, all these noises. But it was watching him with his fear was teaching me how much fear is a liar. A cracking and popping house or a cracking and popping refrigerator or stove or whatever is simply that. It's a sound. It's nothing. But when we don't understand what we are hearing and we don't understand our fear, it controls us. All of these things control us. We had a night where we took Winston for a walk and we went a different route than we normally do. And my husband and I were switching from me walking him to him walking him. And I handed my husband the leash, and in the fray, he accidentally dropped the leash and Winston took off. And as he ran into the night, I thought, oh my gosh, with his fear, we'll never see him again. And he ran with this leash dragging behind him. And as that leash bounced and bounced and bounced and crashed and banged against the cement as he ran from the leash, ran from all of his fear, was trying to run from it. He was running from a leash that was following him, you know, essentially it was attached to him. I'm going to put up video now of what happened. So take a look at that first, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit of the story with that. So watch this. This is security footage from my house. That was Winston. That was Winston being chased by his evil, scary leash coming home. He'd only been in our life a short time at that point, but he knew home. He ran. We were able actually ultimately to figure out where he'd been by the pieces of the leash that got left along his route on the way home. But in his fear, he came home. And I want to use that illustration for all of you about how in our fear, if we seek Jesus, that's how we come home. That's how we come to a place of safety from whatever evil is chasing us, whatever scary thing is chasing us, whether it's a literal or a proverbial thing. Mr. Winston has taught me and can teach all of you that fear is a liar. And that in our fear, if we just simply seek to go home to where we know love exists, we can no longer have to know fear. And while Winston deals with things here and there now, I think like we all do, he knows where his home is. He knows where he is loved and cared for. And I want to use this as an illustration of what we can do ourselves to alleviate our fear. first you have to realize that fear is a liar. It is a liar. It is the biggest liar of all. Then next, if you're not already there, if you aren't already making the moves, start cultivating a relationship with Jesus. And if you're wanting to know how to do that, that is something that I can cover in other videos and will cover in other videos. And I actually have some partners that are working on other ways for you to be able to learn about building your relationship with Jesus. But I can tell you, it was part of what got me healed of my fear, was cultivating my relationship with Jesus, was being saved through him. And it's something that I want for all of you. And I want you to understand, I'm not talking here about religion. I'm not talking here about a physical church building. I'm talking about you and your relationship with Jesus. It's a private relationship that you can build that doesn't need anybody from the outside to pass judgment on it. I can tell you that my personal journey, my personal work that I did building my relationship was very deeply personal. It was me and Jesus, and it took a while, but it was worth it. It was worth it because I live my life with very little fear. Very little fear. In fact, I'm trying to remember when I was last afraid. I mean, truly, deeply, gutturally afraid. I can't even come up with a time when I felt that kind of fear, the crippling fear, with everything that's going on in the world right now. So I just wanted to share a little bit of Mr. Winston with all of you and show you how you can go from HELLda to heaven. You know, it's a little bit of play on words, play on names, you know, using these two dogs that I have known in the recent past and what they have taught me. But we love our dogs and they are teachers. And I'm using his story for all of you. I'm using Winston's story for all of you as just another way to open a door of understanding for you if you are on any kind of shaky ground with thinking about building your relationship with Jesus. Mr. Winston now joins me every morning when I pray. I say, okay, time for prayers, and he'll join me. God is so good. And having a relationship that you can trust, that being a relationship with Jesus, it will change your life. I can promise you that. That I can promise you. And if you have any questions about building your relationship with Jesus, if you are seeking a relationship with Jesus with a sincere heart, I'd like to invite you to my private Discord server that I have set up. The email is down below me here on the screen. This is a private space filled with beautiful Christians, beautiful people who are, it's their whole life to seek Jesus. And it is a beautiful, welcoming place for you wherever you are in your seeking. Email me at that email address that's below me right now. And, you know, let's have a little bit of a talk. Because it's a private server, I can't just carte blanche let you on there, because I have to be sure that, you know, I'm letting in people that have a heart for wanting to know what salvation through Jesus Christ is like and wanting to build a relationship with Jesus. So I have to do some vetting And I'm not a judgmental person. I simply need to be sure that you aren't somebody that's coming to cause harm. So email me at that address. Say that you want to, put in the subject line that you would like to join the Discord server, and tell me a little bit about yourself. And we'll exchange a couple emails, and then you can come in. It's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful place. It is something that a few of us that have been here at this channel for a while now have dreamed of having. And the Lord has provided it for us, and we are opening it to all of you that are interested in seeking Jesus as well and salvation. So I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you again, and I really look forward to maybe getting to know you over at Discord. It's a beautiful place. Yep. All right, that's it for now, and I'll be back with more videos. See you later.